Yo, what's up, everybody? Bren here. Hope everybody's having an amazing Friday. It is Friday, November 14th. I have a special guest today that I was really excited to have on, my friend Jaden. Give me 1 second here. I'm just posting this in the Telegram chat. But yeah, hope everybody's having an amazing Friday. Back here with another stream. Today I have a special guest, my friend Jaden. Been excited to have him on for a bit. Him and I did a show on his Substack a while back. I think I just met Jaden a couple months ago. I don't know where. I think I saw. Actually, I know where I saw him. I saw a couple of his tweets around NFTs and VFriends specifically. And for me, there's not a lot of people talking about like the macro views around NFTs. Usually, it's like on a real micro basis around specific projects, and very few people talk about like these bull runs and these kind of stuff that I really like to think and talk about. So it's been really cool to get to know Jaden lately. He's been having a lot of great tweets again on these macro views around NFTs, crypto. Jaden also has grown a pretty significant following on Substack, for those of you guys don't know, is like a probably butchering this, but like a newsletter thing where people can subscribe and read written content. I know there's video content in there as well, but I know it's majority written content. So we're going to get a lot of insights from him on potentially if you're somebody who wants to grow your following on Twitter or any of these other written mediums. You're going to learn a lot today. So before we get started, we hear a lot about Jaden. How you doing today, brother?
Brent, thank you very much for the introduction, my friend. I'm doing great, and I think we kind of planned this a few times, but I'm glad we got it over the line, and it's good to catch up with you. In fact, I actually remember how we first met because I was trying to buy VFriends when they had bottomed, and I saw this guy pop up on OpenSea, and I was like, who is this motherfucker? Can I swear? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, of course you can.
Okay, cool. Obviously, I'm a guest, didn't want to... I was like, who is this guy sweeping VFriends? And like with certain things, you can tell a lot about someone by what they buy. And I was like, this guy's going hard, and I don't actually know how many you got in the end, but you increased my cost bases by double. So thanks for that. We're still friends, so it's all good.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome. I think at the time we had connected, I probably had like 20 VF1s. Now I'm up to 33.
Wow.
Probably need to pick up a few more at these prices, but
man,
it's been great. I think that was a couple months ago, and I've been really enjoying reading. I really enjoy reading a lot of your content lately, and again, we think very similar in that way. So before we get started, you want to go ahead and give people a little bit of intro on yourself, from your introduction to the market, NFTs, writing on Substack, all that stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate the intro, bud. So I kind of got into crypto in 2017, made a kind of few speculative bets on Ethereum. Then obviously in 2021, the whole NFT craze happened. I got into a few projects. My Ethereum kind of 30x, the small amount that I put in there, and I rolled it into NFTs, and the NFTs kind of between 10 and 40x. obviously there was a lot of losses in there as well. Um, but one of the things I discovered on the journey was writing. So I did a few tweets. A few of them went viral. Didn't really. I still don't have a significant following on X, but I decided to write some longer form stuff on Medium. So at the moment, I'm the most followed person for NFTs on Medium. Um, I've got 90,000 followers on there. Unfortunately, I'm at the mercy of the algorithm on Medium for some of the longer form stuff. So what I've done is I've migrated over to Substack, and obviously Substack have a few more immersive features, a bit like the live streams and probably some of the stuff you're doing on the screen now, to be honest. um, so yeah, and it's just been a passion of mine. I think the the beauty of the writing is it helps you spot the things that people can't see. You know, there's a famous writer called Michael Lewis who wrote Moneyball, and he says it helps you spot the gap between perception and reality. So for a lot of people who are like wanting to get into things or learn things or whatever, my advice is just to start writing about it, because a weird thing happens. It's like your audience grows, but then the scrutiny of the audience makes you lean into the research more, and then a byproduct of that is you make better decisions. So that's basically been my journey in a nutshell. But I'm heavily into NFTs. I've more recently got into punk strategy and some of the stuff TokenWorks is doing, and I've got a few of the, I guess you could call them, the majors in the top six, and that's kind of my core thesis around things. We could,
Amazing. Yeah,
and we could do that further if you want.
amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely get into the punk strategy and all that. Now, as far as the writing goes, were you always like kind of a natural born writer, like in high school, writing essays and all that, or is it something that you had to kind of
It's,
get good, build a skill at?
it was something I didn't know I was good at, but now I realize that I am. Like I used to have sales jobs, and my one bit of feedback I'd have in sales is, Jaden, you can't convert the client um, over email. So my whole thing was I didn't want to pick up the phone, but I wanted to do over email. Um, and there were times like growing up where people said that I should be a journalist, or I should write certain things. Um, so yeah, there were signs there, but there was a time I was actually very insecure about going on camera. And then I thought, obviously I follow a lot of Gary Vee stuff, and he says, well, just find your mode of communication, and then just lean into that. And I just felt like the writing I could polish a bit more. I could do the micro content, and then obviously Medium was paid me a lot of money through writing royalties, and it just grew from there. And like obviously but once you earn that first dollar through writing, it changes your mindset. And also, once you get that first person message you to say that was fucking good, or they message you and they go, "Shit, that was a good blog." Um, I wrote one blog which got, I don't want to overegg this, but I would say it got about 420,000 reads,
Wow.
which was huge. And it went astronomically viral. I mean, I had people from all corners of the internet contacting me. Um, there was an element of controversy rolled up into it, so I got a little bit of abuse, but then I was getting love from people and all these sorts of things. So
Was this
um,
the mutant one, or is this something different?
no, this was different. So I wrote a blog about Ray Dalio, and
Okay.
I don't know if you know who that is, but he's the
Yeah, of
best.
course.
He's the best hedge fund manager in the world. You've probably seen him on X or whatever. But he did a video, and um, he did a video on something called delayed gratification, and he linked it to a marshmallow experiment. You know, where the kids go in and they sit two kids down and they say, right, if you can have a marshmallow now, or you can have one later.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no,
yeah.
you can have one marshmallow now, or you can have a bag of them later. And what they realized is that the kids that could delay gratification had better life outcomes in the end. So this was the whole experiment. And what Ray Dalio was saying, because obviously my blog was a finance blog, he was saying if you can delay gratification with money, you will have better outcomes because you then start to think about things that you can do with the money, and then you then invest the money. So I knew I had the story and I knew I had the blog, but then I knew the big thing was the headline, and I had to nail the fucking headline because that's what gets people into the blog. Um,
I'm
and
glad you said that because like I'm starting to realize like I'm not starting. Just recently, I was starting to realize that my hooks on my tweets were kind of I had put like less focus on them and they were kind of lacking. And
yeah.
then I realized and then, tweaked a little bit and just made sure that those hooks were on point and the tweets always do better. Do you think that's just across all mediums, right? It's the same thing as like a thumbnail in a video, right? It's like the first thing that they read is everything.
Oh,
What are some tips that maybe because I want apart from all this market stuff we're going to go into, I think there's a
yeah.
lot of people on here now, whether it be on Twitter or like Substack, which you really inspired me to want to start on,
Oh, I appreciate it.
maybe in ways that that somebody who wants to grow their following through writing, ways that they can obviously learn. As far as the hooks, what are some tips that you can give people to kind of better their hooks? I know it's probably different on each platform, but
Yeah, it is. I think so. The best type of hook is X versus Y. So what X taught me about Y, or um, creating conflict in a title. So, and I don't mean by creating drama, I mean bringing opposing ideas together. So, for example, the best idea of a high premise headline would be Jurassic Park because it's got dinosaurs and it's got humans that come together, and then um, it captures your imagination.
gotcha.
And I think I can't remember what the headline was to the Ray Dalio one, but I created conflict in the headline. It said something like it was like the world's 123rd richest person says if you follow the little known Stanford experiment, you will become wealthy. So now there were multiple things in the title that made it high premise.
Yeah.
So then it creates, it's not necessarily a hook, but it creates a curiosity gap for people to want to get in. So I think the biggest mistake people make with hooks or titles is they don't bring two competing ideas together. And that's the thing. If you bring two competing ideas together, it creates a bit of a match and curiosity, and then people want to dive in. So that's how I kind of look at it. Now, with the advent of ChatGPT, it's like it's never been easier. Now, I like back in the Medium days, like 4 years ago, is I used to sit there. I used to write 5 headlines a day. I mean, one I wrote, which went astronomically viral, was on Mr. Bean, and the headline. It was during a time where the UK were going through some free speech stuff and people getting arrested, and there still are.
Hmm.
And Mr. Bean or Rowan Atkinson is famous for not speaking.
Yeah.
His role for Mr. Bean is famous for not speaking. And I
I've
wrote,
always I've always found that so like boring when I watch that show. I don't know personally. Are you is everybody in Mister in England or not England? I know you're not. If
now,
everybody in that like side of the world like love Mr. Bean.
well, the thing is, a lot of us grew up on it,
Yeah.
and when there was no fucking TV, mate,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's just like this thing just captured your imagination. You were like, "Holy shit! I understand everything he's doing, and he's not saying a word. Like I understand the awkward meaning behind everything."
Hmm.
So I I grew up on it. So it had a huge effect on me as a kid because it was the first kind of TV I watched. And what they did with the first episode of Mr. Bean is they actually aired it right after a famous soap opera called Coronation Street.
Mm.
So it ended up getting, I can't, look, I want to say it got like 20 million viewers, which by TV standards is a fucking joke. That's
Yeah.
like ridiculous. So now it captured the imagination. But obviously we had this whole free speech thing. Then Rowan Atkinson is now campaigned
Hmm.
to change the laws around free speech in the UK. So I latched onto this and I was like, okay, holy shit, this is good. So the headline read something like, "A man famous for not speaking taught us a valuable lesson about free speech." So
that's mean,
you
yeah.
you can see the conflict in the title. You've got here's a person that's famous for not speaking, but now he's telling you about free speech. So that's the conflict.
Okay. So contrasting ideas are yeah. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Okay,
yeah.
I like that. I like that. And
So
then
this
obviously on Twitter and stuff, it's going to be like keywords, and obviously if you can
yeah
fit in like two relevant like contrasting ideas like that in general. So that's great. Um,
yeah.
now uh let's get a little bit more into the market stuff. By the way,
Mm.
if you guys like I said, I have Jaden up here on the screen. Definitely check out carrotlane.com. Is that where they can find looks like here, let's look. It looks like they can find is this if I click right here, is this gonna take me to your
Yeah, so if you go to www.carrotlane.com, it'll take you to that page.
okay.
So it's Carrot Lane is the website, and then obviously if you register as a free subscriber, I'd really appreciate it. It's how the newsletter grows, and there's some obviously I think my writing is very good.
It is, yeah.
Um, I mean that blog that you're looking at there, that got 100,000 reads.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. So
Yeah,
uh I obviously you got the tweet. I saw that you've had a couple tweets that are just going crazy, and it's to show that really like the mutant ape community is
yeah.
still to this day is still very strong, and the ape community in general is still doing all the raids and stuff. But tell us a little bit about this. Obviously you bought a mutant ape just
Yeah.
recently, and then you put it on your LinkedIn, which what caused quite a stir on there.
Yeah. Mate, it's I was taken back, to be honest, because a lot of the people that were messaging me were like directors, CEOs, branding experts, marketing experts, and all these people that are kind of missing this thing. I mean, the story behind the ape was the market collapse. I think there were a whole bunch of liquidated traders that got wiped out, or people who had leverage or whatever. And I saw it like point 0.9, and by the time I got home, it was 0.99. And I thought, you know what? I'm probably not going to have another opportunity to dive into the project, so I might as well just go for it. And it was in the week leading up to Ape Fest, and I knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to write something in the lead up to Ape Fest because I knew there would be some mind share because people would be there, and they'll be talking about uh, Bored Ape Yacht Club. So um, I bought it, and then I wrote about my experiences buying it, and also the fact that the thing that people miss is like I think 70. Don't want to misquote myself here, but 76% of the collection hasn't moved since mint day. So what's actually happening is that there's a very small supply that's trading at the floor, and obviously these things, like Bren, is that they're just a product of financial conditions. When people have more money in their pockets for discretionary spending, they'll buy these things, and that's it. The communities have stayed around. I mean, they've stayed really strong, um, and there's obviously there's a lot of FUD around it because they're like what people want to do. The people want to blame people, and when there's a founder, they want to blame it on the founder's execution.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think any of the announcements could have been any more bullish around the Amazon stuff.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some of the videos around Ape Fest. It was awesome, um, and people mid curve this stuff because these things are like the coins, but on steroids because they're more immersive and they've got the social signaling, and also because they organize communities. You are best buds with people in these communities, and then trying to sell this shit is hard.
Yeah.
Uh, you don't want to sell it. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of it. I did. There was, I'd like to sit here and say that's my forever ape, and it's the one I wanted all along, but I just kind of got the cheapest one I
So this
liked.
is your first UG asset you bought?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
gone.
Sorry. No,
No, I
go
was
ahead.
going to say I mid curved it in 2021 because I
Yeah.
didn't get into the project, mate. I was buying three of everything, and then like selling one pre-reveal, then selling one on the open market, and then just keeping an asset.
That's a great strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously like I'm not even a trader, but that's just like you know
So you're
you,
saying you skipped the apes though? You pretty much were buying like three of everything, but the apes you were just like You just mid
Yeah.
career 21.
Yeah, and then I came up with the idea is because they were anonymous and I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about them, and I was like, "Fuck, I've mid-curved the shit out of this." And
Yeah,
then
no,
and
it's
then
crazy to see them under 6 ETH now, but I think, and I really want to get into this NFT stuff with you here in
yeah,
a second as well. But just to close off the writing portion of this, you said
yeah,
you did off of, I think you said you made, I don't know if you said a dollar amount or something a second ago, but just to show people you can make money from the written content. You said at one article you made thousands of dollars right off of um, like a Medium article,
yeah. So
correct?
yeah, so the Ray Dalio one, was about 7 grand.
Wow.
But then there's another fitness one, which is 7 grand. And I know there's people probably just, thinking that's a load of bullshit, so I can see if I can get up on my phone. But there's a fitness one I've done recently. Um, let's just check. I might only be able to get it on desktop, but just when I
Okay,
get it, I'll show it to the screen. All right.
perfect.
But the dynamics on Medium have changed because obviously what you've got now is a lot of AI writing, so people are able to produce more writing, so you're competing against more volume. Um, I think the someone just asked a question: is Jaden a copywriter? As in, do I write sales copy? I think the answer is no, but I do my own self promotion around sales copy. Um,
And by the way, guys, real quickly, sorry to interrupt, Jaden, but we
yeah,
did just get straight into it. But we are looking at the chat. Eggs CT, for example. I do see your question. We are going to get into Bitcoin, ETH, all of that good stuff. So write your comments, questions in the chat, and we will see them.
yeah,
Um, Jaden, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. No worries. So, um, the dynamics have changed on Medium. I think if you're an aspiring writer and you're just starting out, Medium is a great place to start because you can earn money straight away. And the best way to start is to make sure that you write stuff that you're interested in because it takes away the friction because it's stuff that you know. But then also to read other top writers and see how they structure their writing and almost kind of copy their framework. I mean, in the early days, I based a lot of my writing on a guy called Tim Denning.
Mhm.
And he really, what he does is he really simplifies the language and then adds color to it. So, like you'll notice with the stuff that I write, that there's a lot of colorful language because I paint pictures through things like similes and idioms and these sorts of things in my writing. So
Mhm.
it's not this bland kind of finance stuff. You're reading it and going, actually, I'm enjoying the read here.
That's amazing. Last question. Do you think that as the AI and everything, and as the world, as we progress, do you think that writing will become like a bigger medium and more valued, or you think it's gonna become like less? Do you think people will be like, and I kind of have my thoughts on this, but do you think they'll more um, value like an authentic writing from a person more, or do you think it'll fade as a medium over time?
Yeah, look, I've thought about this. I think people are always going to read. Obviously, although if you look at the trend rate, people are reading less and less because it's having to sustain their attention, and they're going more to video. Um, and the average probably age of my reader is, I would say, probably 45 plus. So, but there is an audience who read it, and also there are a lot of people who actually learn better from reading, and actually enjoy the process of reading. So I think there'll always be that, but I think it's a good point. Um, but yeah, the if you can get to a stage where you can maximize the AI stuff, I think you're going to be in a good position.
Absolutely, and I think there's gonna be uh, a section of society that's just always going to value like opinions from a real person anyway. So
Oh yeah, sorry. Instead of the AI, sorry, I didn't quite answer your question there. Yeah,
no, it's
I
okay.
think I think the authenticity around it, but I think it's going to get to a stage where you're not going to tell the difference. Um,
Yeah, that's true.
it's like the perfect analogy is, people fall in love with other people over text. It's why people from different parts of the world get scammed.
That's
You know,
true.
it's like, yeah, it could be a robot on the back end of it, but people are falling in love with the words. Um,
Yeah, I mean Gary V, just to close it off. I mean Gary V, I saw in a video, and he said this a few times that your grandparents, your grandkids are going to marry a like AI robot.
yeah,
He said in a video yesterday, like it's going to really fuck you up. Like your grandkids are gonna marry an AI robot. Um, but let's go ahead and get into the crypto and NFT stuff. By the
I
way, I
love it.
appreciate you guys for coming on in the chat. We do see you guys. Eggs, I will go ahead and Eggs asks up, Bren. Just wondering at what point would you really believe that it's over and we're actually in a bear market? We'll go over that. We'll go over the
Yeah.
chart setup and like an invalidation of the kind of the corrective setup I've been posting about. Let's go ahead and go to the chat really quickly to say what's up to some of the guys. What's up, Fish? What do I think of Tao? We'll go over that. What's good, P? I appreciate you for reposting. Carl, nice to see you. Zilla, Noel, um, what's up, Abe? Miss D, nice to see you. Young Ads, accumulate more. Someone stable coin, yes sir. Jeremy, nice to see you, man. Cheat
Brent,
code, Carmen, what's up, man?
Brent, how am I sharing this live stream, brother? Ah, here we go.
And
From
next time we can have it connected so we can stream to yours as well. This has been great so far. He said, is you a copywriter, bro? That's the one you
I can
ran.
tell that's not AI writing that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Brent, I think Carmen, he answered your question, right? So what's your end of the year prediction for Bitcoin? I don't know an exact number, but I do think we close higher from here and very potentially close to all-time highs to end the year. Mutant Ape or Bored Ape, both are great. Love the strategy for real. Let's see. Make sure there's no questions we missed. Are we still in copium about NFTs because market is trash now? We're gonna go ahead and get into NFTs right now. Oh, awesome. So we are as well. Before we go, and if you guys could please like, comment, retweet, share the stream, always appreciated. We are on Instagram. If you look at the top right of the stream, on Instagram and YouTube streaming as well. So go ahead and check us out on there. YouTube, YouTube right now is actually like better UI than X streaming. I assume X is trying to, they're trying to be the everything app. So I'm sure the streaming stuff will become better over
Yeah.
time. But YouTube is good to check us out on YouTube, Instagram as well. But let's go ahead and get into the NFT stuff, Jaden. So again, that's where we really connected because I really liked your very few people in crypto in general, or just in the markets are really focus on zooming out and like the long term stuff, long term
Yeah.
charts, long term anything. Kind of to touch on your point earlier about delayed gratification. Um, and I really liked your views on kind of zooming out, looking at the macro view and comparing it to, you know, the .com bubble and all this different stuff. Um, where would you say, again, we'll get more into it, but where would you say the state of NFTs are right now? We're obviously down. The 2021 bubble has popped. We've been in NFT winter.
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of resurgences here and there, but it seems like to me, obviously, the hype around airdrops and all these holder benefits have faded. And
Yeah.
to me, it seems like only thing that matters now is which one of these IPs, like the art's different, CryptoPunk's different, but the IPs, which one of them can actually execute and become a brand that the masses love. I mean, where do
Yeah.
you see NFTs are the state of NFTs right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the first thing about NFTs is they just make complete sense to me because of this built-in supply friction they have. So here you have an asset that has the same conditions applied as a physical asset. So it just makes sense that any attention they get usually leads to buying flows. So that's just the simplest way to look at it. So then the question you ask yourself is, well, where is the attention going to come from for these assets to increase? So I kind of have a thesis around, obviously there's people. We had this trend in 2021 of like these marketing guys, like your Ty Lopez's and your Tom Bilyeu's and a few other people, and obviously Gary Vee's from a marketing background. And the attention they managed to get towards these projects rallied them up to huge astronomical prices. And then obviously now things have cooled off and dropped down. But the state of NFTs is they are a product of financial conditions. And people need money in their pockets for discretionary spending to buy JPEGs. And that's just as simple as that. There is data to show that they kind of mirror the luxury watch market, like the alt asset market, like whiskies and wines. And they're at a stage in the cycle where people have more money in their pockets. At the moment, people don't have that. And it's been like that for a long time because all around the world we've had record inflation. Interest rates have been high. Um, but now we're seeing, I think 90% of central banks are all lowering rates. It's not just the Fed. And over time, business conditions will improve. So, a thing that people usually use is like the ISM framework, which tells you what's happening with productivity and business conditions. And at the moment, it's bottom, but it looks like it's recovering. So, eventually, as productivity increases, it will lead to corporate profits, which will lead to stock market prices, which will lead to more employment, which will lead to more people having money in their pockets. And they will buy, because they've got more access to capital, they'll start buying these things that are kind of further down on the risk curve. And then the question then becomes, well, what are the best risk adjusted bets to get into that are kind of way down on the risk curve? These, well, in these assets that are like the last to get liquidity, but the first to lose it.
Mhm.
And then when they do lose it, it's like a stomach punch because it's not just the NFT that drops. The NFT is like the leverage bet on ETH, and they're a huge part of. They're a function of the ETH ecosystem. So ETH drops by like 50% or 60% or whatever it did last cycle, but then your dollar's not worth anything. So you've got this kind of like the multiplier effect on the way up, and then like this deflationary effect on the way down. So I think it's going to be time. Um, I think it's going to take for Ethereum to go into price discovery or go up to all-time highs
Okay.
for this kind of rotation into NFTs.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's so my friend Hemdog, who I had on stream last week and then did a Twitter space with yesterday.
Yeah,
Um, he kind of has the same kind of view overall that in the short term, and I tend to agree that really NFTs are like the last thing on the risk curve. Like even meme coins and altcoins are down, probably a tier higher at least like the older altcoins.
yeah,
Why should we expect NFTs to be running when Bitcoin, ETH, Solar down, and the meme coins, altcoins have been down? It's just not the right conditions for
yeah,
that to happen. So you're in the belief that really that if let's just say if we were to, and also like you said, has to do with the macro situation.
yeah,
This is all that you think that it's generally going to be driven by macro conditions and all that risk asset conditions alone. That's mostly going to do most of the work, and all this cool stuff that these NFT founders are doing will kind of
yeah.
act as rocket fuel with the conditions really propelling
Yeah.
them.
I mean, they just need. I mean, most of these founders just need to survive. I mean, if like some of the projects that were pulling the plug on it, like recently, is staggering. They just need to survive because these NFT people, like I think G Money put a viral tweet out and he said, "Don't overthink it. NFT people don't know how to hit the sell button," and it's just like because the asset's expressive and because it keeps you a part of a community and because a lot of these communities have met up, when influencers are shitting on people's NFTs, it's not their bags, it's now their friendship groups because we organize around these things. So
Yeah,
then so they're expressive assets, they organize community, and they're a contract. So it's like they, to steal a phrase, it is really an everything token. But because of that kind of trophy status, and that expression, they become very difficult to sell.
100%.
And that's why, like, if you just looked at NFT scan and you look at most of the top performing projects that once had high floor prices and now have low floor prices, I would say the vast majority of them, 75% of the collection hasn't moved since mint. Do you know that VFriends Series 2, 92% of the collection, bearing in mind it's one of the biggest collections, hasn't moved in 3 years?
Yep, and that's why you're seeing, I think, friends, the other ones that, yeah, they're not getting a lot of demand to move up right now, but they're staying stagnant because even more so the last few months, the new people that are coming in from whatnot and these new collectors, a lot of them are just collectors. They're not looking to flip it and get a 2x on their NFTs. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's definitely a factor to look at. Now, so in the short term, you think if macro conditions come around, altcoins, the rest of the risk curve, money moves down the risk curve. It's ready for, it comes to NFTs that will get Do you see this is obviously a point of contention? I think 95% of people you would ask would say there's no way we ever get a 2021 type mania again. Do you think these conditions you're talking about lead to some type of mania eventually again?
100%. 100%. It can't not. We've got a whole bunch of people who didn't sell last cycle, and we've got 10 times the participants. If you just, like, I know you do a lot of your TA stuff with Bitcoin. If you just look at a log trend, based on where we were at the beginning of the cycle, we're probably going to, based on what a lot of the macro investors are saying, is we probably go between 10 and 15 trillion this cycle.
Yep.
Which, if you just use that as a log trend and you apply that to NFTs, I think there's more participants that come into NFTs, because I think people will want to express the success they've made. And I often say that people don't want to be a douche and take a screenshot of their balance. So the best way to show that expression is through NFTs, high-end art, top PFP projects, and that's what people are going to do. And I think it's going to go to astronomical prices if you are in the right NFT projects. Um,
Of course.
so yeah, yeah,
So you do think there'll be another mania? I agree, man. I think there's just how these markets work to where saw it with crypto. I remember in 2017, excuse me, 2018, and then again on 2020, after the end of these bull runs, everybody always says it's never going to be as strong as the next one because of this reason. Obviously in COVID, the crypto bull run won't be as strong in 22, 23 because there's no COVID stimulus.
yeah,
Um, they always say that. But I think, to me, we can talk about what drives the long term, but I do think in the short term, the conditions, like you said, are everything with the macro stuff and lowering rates without anything breaking. But also, I think NFTs are an industry like waiting for some type of big catalyst to
yeah,
where I think it could be so many different things. And I think it could be some type of NFT integration with the technology
yeah,
in the trading card space to verify cards, which I think is probably already being worked on. I know
yeah,
Whatnot, the site we're talking about, is working on NFT integration and stuff like GTA 6, obviously the biggest one. If they were to drop some kind, like, all I
yeah,
think it would take is, NFTs have gone on these pretty sizable runs. Like we saw Bored Apes run to 12 ETH, Pudgy, same thing, off of these like small little niche Web3 announcements. Imagine if there's like some type of big NFT
yeah.
mainstream
Like
announcement.
NBA Top Shot, like yeah. So they what they launched in 2018 or something, and I think they were that was like the consumer moment for NFTs.
Exactly. And I think it's like waiting for one of those to really send everything like to a real bull market where we're able to really break away. And in that case, I think the it's going to be, I think most things have died. There's going to be that 3% that rise to, I believe, really go back to all-time highs. I think the apes are a
Yeah,
little bit tricky at 150 ETH. I still think the other side has a lot of, I was playing it for the first time, like the completed version.
right,
I know it's not completed, but like I played the little playthroughs back in the past, but I played it last night and really, really freaking cool. The tutorial and all that. I think that has a real potential to, because it's like a Roblox whatever type metaverse, but where you own all the assets, right?
right.
Like
Okay,
I think that's the future of gaming anyway. But if other side's able to
yeah.
pioneer that, the implications are crazy. So I mean, do you think ETH NFT? All right, so do you think ETH NFTs go back to all time highs? Those top 4 to 5 to 10 eventually?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, eh, there's it's obviously the iconic ones. I like getting into the risk adjusted stuff. So I think with the inefficiencies that these marketplaces have, they don't aggregate the artist's work properly. So for example, you can pick up a Beeple, and you'll know this if you're a gift card holder. You can pick up a Beeple for $1,000. Now his next cheapest piece of art, or I won't refer to it as a cheap, but his next piece of art within reach is like, I think it's like $20,000. So there's this aggressive mispricing. Xcopy did an open mint 3 years ago called Max Payne, and it was right at the end of the bull market, or 2 years ago, and it was an open edition which he started at 1 Ethereum. Now I think the floor price is like zero point 0.7 or something, but he's burnt like 20% or 30% of the supply of it. So he's burnt a significant portion of the supply. He's one of the top artists in the space, and it's still below the mint price. So there's all of these opportunities in some of these iconic artists, um, and they will be around in the future. I mean, X Copy and Beeple are the two, and then I like a lot of the historical stuff, just because some of the IP, like obviously CryptoPunks is out of reach for me. A lot the Yuga assets are as well, but there's a lot of historical stuff that kind of kicked off the space. Big fan of curio cards.
Yeah,
Um,
curio cards I've looked into a bit with Constantine. Shout out to Constantine from V Friends.
yeah,
He works with
he's
them.
he's in my group, Constantine.
Yeah, he's great.
Although he's gone a bit incommunicado recently, so if anyone finds him, let me know.
That's funny that you say that. I've been thinking about Constantine too. Like I haven't seen him, too much in the Discord. I saw him like one of my tweets the other day, so I know he's still kicking. He's there. But what I was gonna say,
Right, just a quick one. I've just had some of the guys send me. I've had my buddy Alexander. He's listening to the stream. You got
what's up, Alex?
you got 670 people on the stream. That's fucking insane.
So yeah, so there's Twitter's weird in the way that it doesn't show concurrent viewers. It's
Right,
actually views, right? So it's the total people that have joined. Usually what we average around is like between like 100 and 150 concurrent viewers.
Bren.
At
We
a
have
time.
this saying in the UK. It's never let the truth get in the way of a good story, my friend. So
I know I should have
just
gone with it,
fucking,
right?
just
Yeah.
fucking roll with it. Listen. I'm famous. This is how we do things around here on this channel.
All right, my bad. Yeah, no, yeah, 700 viewers. Shout out to you guys for being
Yeah,
here.
listen, they keep asking me for autographs, but
No, I appreciate everybody from the Substack in the group for being here too. Alexander, everybody.
yeah,
Shout out
no,
to you guys. But yeah, we usually average like 100, 150 viewers, so it's pretty good.
sick,
Let us
man.
know where you guys are at. By the way, let us know. I forgot to do this today. Let us know, one, if it's the first time in the chat, two, where you're at in the world. Um, and
Bro,
then
this is why I needed to join via my X because I could have pulled in my audience, and I got a whole bunch of you guys following me on X, which I really appreciate.
of course, yeah, everybody go shoot Jaden a follow if you haven't already. Next time we should do like a weekly show or something too, and then we can both just do it or something through X. But
Yeah, I love it, bro.
let's see. From Scotland. But the NFT stuff before we get off track. Yeah, I think for me the like three main um categories that are going to see the biggest run in the next NFT bull run are probably obviously the IP things. The IP plays, V Friends, Pudgy
Yeah,
Penguins, Azuki. Other stuff will pop up. The art, like you were saying, the Beeple, the X
yeah,
copy. I'm not too big in that space. And then
yeah.
I think the if the timing's right and everything, it comes in line with the crypto market also going. Meme coin NFTs are also, I think, going to be pretty strong. We'll go into the Fwog stuff. I saw somebody ask in the comments, but what were you going to say?
I know, I was just agreeing with you. In fact, just while we're on that, what was your thoughts on the? Just quite curious why you leaned into V Friends. What was your thoughts around that?
Yeah, um so Gary Vee, I've been watching his content since I don't know, like 2014, 2015. He's always been my like favorite content creator. I started out doing like some like online business stuff, was really into personal development, but Gary's just always been my favorite. And then
Yeah,
in 2020, I was already into crypto since 2015, 2016. He was teasing something he was doing in crypto and Web3, and I thought it was a coin at first or something.
yeah,
Ended up being the NFTs. And in 20 in that time I had a book game and a series 2. Didn't have as much money in the NFT market, but was always my plan after, as I was making more money, like in that, after the NFT run, that I would get into V Friends in a significant way. And
yeah,
then it just all worked out in this last year where I had the capital saw him under an ETH, started reading, started seeing some strength in the NFT market and signs that, because I always watched Gary. And what made me so, to answer your question, really what made me so bullish on him is really like watching Gary's old videos from 2020 and 2021. I think he understood the NFT technology and really
yeah,
the potential for it to transform. I want to play this video in a second actually, but like transform like all these different areas of everything, and that driving the NFT stuff. So watching a lot of his videos, and to me, I think NFTs, even seeing this like last year, before this like big come down is that all the only thing matters long term, and these NFTs are the IP ones at least, is
Yeah.
if the operator is makes like the general public outside of crypto like fall in love with it. Like it has to be the next Marvel, Hello Kitty, like whatever, Disney.
Yeah.
And to me, Gary is just like, the ultimate operator, understands the NFT thing more than anybody. To me, so I just knew, and I just believed in his vision of, he said like it's going to be like the .com bubble where 97% of everything crashes and then
Yeah.
2 to 3% come out. And I started seeing in 2025, okay, I think we're starting to enter that final phase where we do see a resurgence in NFTs. So in 2020 or in, last year started accumulating more. And then, over the last few months or over the last, over that 6 month period, it accumulated all the V friends. But yeah, to me, it's just Gary's the ultimate operator. And I think he's just going to make it a huge IP.
I agree, mate. I totally agree.
As well as I'll say that's what I came into it for.
Yeah.
Now I've really grown to understand that, or like I've really grown to like love the collecting side, and it's because I'm like I said, I had a crypto background,
Yeah.
so I and crypto and NFT background didn't really collect too much. I don't. What about? Did you collect sports cards or anything growing up?
Look, when I grew up as a kid, I collected all the Pokemon cards,
Okay, Pokemon.
and also some of the Marvel stuff. So there's a collector in me.
See,
But I
like I didn't really get. I got into that stuff briefly, but like never really got too into it. So I saw it
mm,
more from that. But as I got into it, I start to like I really started to love the collecting side. Started
yeah.
to collect like my favorite character, Bullish Bull, a lot of the kind of crypto type traits,
Mm,
and just the community and everything in general. And I really start to realize that this is a collecting game. I think Gary realized it like a year ago, um, through all the physical collectibles and stuff. But the way NFTs are going to come and rise to success over the next few years are becoming like collectibles, kind of how cards are and stuff are now. But
yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, what do you think the next NFT resurgence what will be made up of? Obviously, the IP plays art. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one because I just look at it like a numbers game, and I look at the founders, because it basically comes down to the founders' ability to onboard their communities. So the simple question is, well, who's got the biggest community, and who's got the most depth with their community? Now Gary has 60 million followers, but he also has the largest social media marketing agency in the world. So
yeah,
now it's like, oh, hold on a second. He's got the capabilities. Then the final piece of the puzzle, and I think where a lot of people struggle is they don't get the opportunity to meet the founders. And the benefit with Gary is that he's documented his business journey. So he's documented his business journey. So you can see that he's got this altruism about the way he operates because he wants to help people. And he's built up this reputation over 15 or 20 years. So when he launched the project, in my mind, it was the hedge was the fact that he wasn't going to ruin his reputation on an NFT project. So I was like, so it's actually, has the founder got a reputation he's not willing to lose? He's not willing to take an L. It's like you read some of the stuff that about Elon Musk. I'm not comparing Gary to Elon Musk, but it's like he was quoted as saying that he would rather commit seppuku, so he would rather commit suicide than have a business fail, and this is why he hasn't had a failure. So there are these people out there that think along these lines, and I think it's just about backing those people, but then also like realizing that these NFT projects, they are a bit like UFC, like everyone loses. Like Kevin Rose, who had Moonbirds. He was voted as like the top 20 most influential people in Web two. And he had a VC background, and he bought all his like VC onboarded all his VC buddies, which is why Moonbirds went to like 40 Ethereum.
yeah,
But then it became a bit of a hot potato because he's then sold it to Yuga. Yuga then sold it to Spencer Ventures, and so then it becomes this thing. It's like the Pudgy Penguin holders. There are Pudgy Penguin holders who, you know, it was once a failed project. It was once a project that the original founders had to sell because they wanted to sell out of it. And just as well, it went to Luca Net and someone who could, who you know, wanted to do good for the community. So um, it is based on the person behind it, mate. And I think Gary is the best person, and also the fact of where he is in his career. I think he's actually 50 today or
Yep.
yesterday.
Happy birthday, Gary. Yeah, his birthday.
Yeah. Um, so he's in the sweet spot of his entrepreneurial journey because he's got the experience, and he's very thoughtful the way he's doing it. In fact, what I'm actually seeing with Gary is he's kind of disqualifying himself in areas where he could be more in the open about the stuff that he's doing, um, but he's not. And actually, I think what he's doing with VFriends is very clever, cross-pollinating the physical assets, the card collectibles, which people resonate with the digital version, which is essentially the rookie card.
Yep. Yeah,
And
and that does a number of things. It's like, sorry, go ahead. I want to let you finish.
yeah, no, I just think it's very clever what he's doing because, and also the way he did VCon is very fucking clever. You know, he understands network effects. Get these 10,000 or 5,000, 6,000 people under one roof. I mean, I'm going to meetups down the road with people in the UK. It's not even a US. It's not even a UK business. And there's 20, 30 people turn up. There's people hooking up. There's people dating. I know there's people getting engaged.
Yeah.
Um, and these are things. And the one thing that people miss with VFriends, and this is going to fuck with people's heads, is that for almost every single person who got into VFriends, it was their first NFT. And the nostalgia around owning your first NFT is something that you don't. I know it sounds airy fairy, but there's a reason why we take photos at our first day of work or when we pass our driving test. It's just the first of something people just have an affinity with, and um, that is just another thing on top of a whole bunch of other things. And the fact that on top of this, and I actually wrote about this today, and you probably go through it, and just interrupt me, mate, if you want me to shut up or whatever.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
But um, Gary runs his marketing agency like a joint venture company. So
Hmm.
instead of doing client services and charging companies for marketing services, he says to them, right, give me a share in the upside in terms of equity, and I will grow the marketing arm of your business. Now, that's very interesting because he may well run the same playbook with VFriends because VFriends is not just art, it's a contract. So now, even if the IP fails and he doesn't reach the levels of Pokemon or Star Wars or Disney, he has the capability to maximize the contract because he can add anything to that contract at any time. Or I mean, he could tomorrow say, all of you guys, like, I'm going to give you 10% of, and I think we said this before, I'll give you a percentage of my speaking fees. Or and obviously, this was much more difficult when we had the last administration who were kind of anti-crypto.
And I'm glad you said that. So for me, like obviously, I always think about this like there's a reason why Gary went with obviously NFTs were really hot in 2021, but the reason why he launched this Feed Friends through an NFT versus through a cartoon, he always says that this is the way to look at it, like Pokemon launched through the game first, then went to
Yeah.
all this different stuff. V Friends launched with the NFT first. What do you think the role is of the community slash the original 10, 20,000 holders and their role is going to be in the rise of the brand itself and the NFTs and just the whole, rise of the brand?
Um, well, I don't actually know. I'm not sure if I'm clear on what the question is, but
So to me, I'll say like I think for me like the community itself, the original 10, 20,000 holders, I'm
yeah,
kind of like, what role do you think having that preset or that already there NFT community that's
yeah.
there in there, what advantage and what role do you think they're going to play in the rise of and the success of the brand itself?
So
I think personally, like we're going to see, those 10,000, 20,000 holders, they're there for the Topps Chrome drop, for example.
yeah.
They were there to sell out the pre-sale, which obviously looks great for Tops, and then it leads them to other partnerships, and then it leads them to like a Netflix show and all these different things, which the original core NFT holders are contributing in. I assume that I think Gary saw that years ago and is utilizing that, and that's still why he's pushing the NFTs. I'm wondering, what do you think the role of the actual holders are going to be in the rise and the success of the brand itself?
I I have a bit of a warped view on it, and I think um, the original community helps. But I've grown communities before, and I once had a um, like I started a referral program with a previous business that I'd done, and we basically got about 7,000 people to promote the business for a referral fee, and they got a portion of or the upside of the sales. And what you found was a mixed message. You found a mixed message from holders. Now, the community element's brilliant for some of the releases, and like you're seeing with the Stan thing. Gary's gone into business with him, or he's like an early stage investor, and that's helped onboard a shit ton of people while also driving value to the NFT holder. So those sorts of things are good. But in terms of the delivery of the brand message and building out the characters and the IP, I think that's very much down to the founder. I think
Yeah.
there are some top collectors who have some of the one-on-one things, and I think there's this misconception that they're driving the brand value by
No,
sharing.
100%. I agree.
Yeah,
I think as far as driving the like writing the stories and like building the actual business and doing all of that stuff, I 100% personally love that Gary has 100% control of that, and he took the even so much so as, I know it's probably unpopular opinion, but like the licensing. Obviously, it'd be cool to like be able to start a business around your ape or whatever, and I know plenty of people are doing that and seeing success. But as
yeah,
far as like these NFTs, the way that they're really worth six figures someday is if the IP itself is the next Pokemon or Disney or whatever. And I in that world, I would rather give 100% control to the operator if I trust him, like Gary. So I do agree as far as building and all that. I just I think that there's just something that NFT community can bring as far as like driving sales and all that. But no, I definitely agree as far as building and actually having you know say and decisions and all that. I think that should I 100% want to I would trust in the founder and that, and I don't think like having a DAO or any of that stuff when it comes
yeah.
to that stuff would make sense.
I agree. I've just read a comment there. I think it's from Carmen. She just said, "Jaden, have you got an email list?" Carmen, if you do me a massive favor and you go to carrotlane.com, um, carrot spelt carrot and then lane spelt lane, and then you just put your email in there and you'll get all of my written content. Sorry.
Beautiful. No, of course that's fun. So I want to reset the room real quick. We're talking a bit
Yeah.
about NFTs. If you guys could like, retweet, comment, share, go ahead and shoot Jaden a follow. We're gonna go ahead and talk about crypto and Bitcoin and all that in a second. I want to go ahead and get to the chat. Someone said yes. Someone asked a question, and I'm a dev, as you know. What do I need to do before minting an NFT? Um, as far as minting one, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you're a dev and you want to like be extra do your diligence, you could check the contract and all that stuff to make sure it's safe. But usually the minting's pretty straightforward. You just connect your wallet and all that. The blind drop stuff, I do want to get into that. That kind of goes into what we were talking about a second ago with the physicals. I totally agree with what Jaden said a second ago. The Like I said here too, I think the winning NFT collections, at least in the next few years, are going to be the ones that are able to capture a lot of new people via physical collectibles. Really,
Yeah.
also content and stuff outside of Web3, but physical collectibles. Right now, collecting is getting massive in the culture. Obviously, we saw Labubu.
Yeah.
You're seeing, I forgot, somebody told me the other day, like all these different mainstream companies putting out collectibles, and I believe that that's only going to continue to grow, as well as people's need to speculate and all that different stuff. So I think the NFTs brands that tie to physical collectibles as well are going to be super successful. Fwog is a meme coin NFT that I originally bought the PFP, this 101 collection, for about 6 or 7 months ago. The meme coin ran to about 800 million.
Wow.
Um, came down like everything else. But just recently, the reason why it was going up so much and all that is the art that they make, the artist group makes on the site on a around Fwog, which is really popular. And I had said a long time ago they should build out a bigger NFT collection to kind of build out the IP. They announced that a 10K PFP collection a couple of weeks ago. That's yet to drop here soon. But they started now with a phygital Fwog mint, where essentially you go in and mint. You can buy 12. Here, it's right here. You can buy 1, 6, or 12. And it's these blind boxes, which are supposed to be
Right.
figurines. But what's really cool about this model and why I titled it in the thing, why this really could be the future of not just NFTs, but like e-commerce, I think, where essentially you come in here, you mint whatever it is, and you get a CNFT. It's called. Essentially, you get an NFT that gives you claim to whatever these boxes that you bought. You claim them in 3 months when they're ready to go, but you can buy and sell these on the open market, right? So you could see the vision where shoes, for example, I think Nike, they've already have the dot swoosh stuff. This is probably something they'll do where you come in and you go out on the site and maybe it doesn't say mint, but you just buy it with your card and whatever, and it gives you this digital collectible where you can go straight on the website on Nike and resell if you want. Because some of these, I don't know if you're into sneakers at all or shoes at all, Jaden. I know how any of this works, but
Not massively. Not massively. I kind of live in Gymshark stuff, although they don't do sneakers. But
love that. I love Gymshark
more,
too.
yeah,
But the way these Nike drops work is at least it's been the demand's kind of low the last few years. But if there's a really hype shoe or like a really
yeah,
like whatever, you can go in and enter a raffle to get it, and whoever wins, gets that, and then you can usually resell the shoes when they come for a
yeah,
lot of money. But what if immediately upon that you get an NFT or collectible that instead of having to wait for the shoes to come, you can just resell them on the open market and Nike ships it to them later.
yeah.
Um, I think that's probably the future and really where we see NFTs kind of thrive.
Mm,
But Fwog, I want to hear your thoughts on this, but Fwog is doing this with that, and then um, eventually in 3 months you'll be able to burn it and they'll send you the figurines.
wow,
Now they're actually hinting when you buy these, they tell you to put in an ETH address, which I think is going to give you whitelists for their PFP project that's coming up, which is that 10K project I was talking about.
interesting.
I mean, what do you think of this model? You think you could see like Gymshark or maybe any of these
Yeah,
brands adopting this someday?
Rally Road did a similar sort of thing, didn't they? Where you got the digital, which represented the physical. But I, I don't know anything about this particular project, so I can't really speak to that one.
Of course.
But I think there will be. It won't be one or the other. There'll be a mesh of the two. So you'll buy a designer handbag, and they'll just send you the NFT, which represents it. And you may well keep hold of the NFT because more people see you online than they do in actual real life. So then the social signaling element of the NFT. But then if you want the physical, you can redeem it by burning it, and then you send it to a burn address or whatever, and then they send you the physical. So I think that would be a yeah.
So I think, yeah, 100%.
The, but
No, I
there'll be no reason for people not to. So I'm just getting a bit of playback on you.
yeah, my thing's kind of slowing down. Let me.
Okay, now you're good. There'll be no reason not to, because if they can bake a royalty into the NFT instead of it being at the marketplace level, people can trade the NFTs and the issuer can get a royalty in perpetuity. So it will. I think this is coming to all physical stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Is it still feedback?
No, it's good now.
Okay, perfect. It might be a little bit delayed. My computer is slowing down, but no, I
Yeah, you
agree.
could,
I think this is not only the future of NFTs, but like potential the future of e-commerce in general. And it
yeah,
plays into what we were talking about, where like a couple of years ago, someone would be like, "Why would someone want a digital collectible of their shoes?" But one, it verifies it, like you're saying, and two, now collectibles are huge, and you can see as the world becomes more digital, AR becomes a thing.
yeah,
People there's going to be demand for these digital collectible type things. So I think it's
exactly,
really interesting.
exactly.
Let me see and look at the chat real quick. What's up, Judd? How you doing, brother? Jaden says, "Have yeah, email list. What is Zcash? People keep saying it's the next Bitcoin. Zcash is a privacy coin, where essentially Bitcoin. Obviously, you can see Bitcoin, ETH, A lot of these others, you can see every transaction on chain. Zcash has a privacy thing where it conceals those. Brent, do you think Saylor had anything to do with the holy Bitcoin dump? No, I don't. I don't know if you're talking about whether I saw a tweet where it said Michael Saylor was dumping. That was a joke, or it's fake.
I've just seen a thing on X and it's got him like in a rubber dinghy, and they're like there's a ship behind. It's obviously AI, but there's a ship behind him sinking, uh,
Yeah, that's funny.
which is quite funny. But we're talking about a guy who survived the dot-com bubble here, and he's got the longest lasting technology company. I think he can navigate through this.
Yeah, it'll be fine, and he's still up like a bunch.
Yeah,
And I don't know if you remember, he obviously started buying in 2020 and 2021, but then he
yeah,
ate like 60-70% drawdown. So this is nothing.
yeah.
As far as Bitcoin, let me make sure I didn't miss any questions before. Oh, troll. Yeah, we'll look at that. Which ecosystem has the strongest builder activity right now? Honestly, I wouldn't know. I would probably say Ether Soul. OX, MBL, Bitcoin, new low. Shot you a follow. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get into crypto. Um, let's see. Let's see. So Bitcoin coming down pretty hard here. Somebody had asked what would invalidate, at least chart wise, kind of this kind of corrective setup that we saw in 2024 and in April. And that would be as if Bitcoin were to slice through like 80K with a few weekly candle closes. And at that point, it would be a lot more impulsive, like we saw in 2021. And really, the biggest difference of what we're seeing chart wise between 2021, the actual cycle top, and then these corrections that we saw in 2024, the one we're seeing in April now, or saw in April, and what I think we're seeing now is that Bitcoin in 2021 in November topped out in November and went down from 60 down to 30K in a matter of 6 weeks. Whereas these other corrections before, Bitcoin would come down 15%, but then it would bounce 15% and bounce and be in this like kind of coiled up, more corrective like structure. Same thing with April. Again, I think we're seeing the end of one of those more than likely. Again, because if we take into account everything else that's going on. I don't believe we're in 2021 at all, 21 anymore at all when it comes to crypto, where in 2021, there was like almost zero institutional adoption. There was no BlackRock with ETFs and retirement funds, not retirement funds yet, but 401ks and all these things accumulating Bitcoin. We wouldn't have regulatory clarity. You don't have a I'm sorry, like president like endorsing it, all these different
Yeah.
countries. That's all. China talking about buying Bitcoin. The macro situation, we're actually de-escalating a bunch of stuff, moving into an even more bullish stuff. So more bullish scenario. So to me, when you take into all these into account, I think it's more likely that we're going to see one of these 2020 these 20 one of these corrections we saw the past years. Right now we're at like 25 to 30%, which the last one was actually bigger at 31, 32%. Chart wise, what I'd like to see is some type of slowdown like we saw here and here, where there's some type of bounce on the weekly to confirm some type of momentum shift. But overall, guys, I think on the higher time frames, that's what we're most likely to see. Anything could happen tomorrow. Something can happen in the macro world, and unemployment spikes or some bank failure or something. But again, just probabilities, I still think point to this being a short term correction. And just to kind of conclude, I want to hear what Jaden has to say about this. But put out this tweet on October 17th where I saw 3 months of consolidation on Bitcoin, like I pointed out here. Every time that's happened, it's led to a move, at least one more move down before the correction was over. So I saw here that again, low hundreds or 90s was probably the most likely that we were going to see.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at now. I think we're very likely to probably to bottom out between here in the 90s. Anything can happen. But I mean, Jaden, what are your thoughts here on
Mate,
crypto in general? And
firstly, I fuck with your TA. It's good, mate. I love it, and this is why I'm getting you on Monday, mate. It's so good. Um, I love the way you broke it down like that. I don't necessarily look at charts in that way. I
yeah,
kind of scan out a bit more. And like I said, probably at the start of the call, is that if business conditions are improving and 90%, 90+% of central banks are reducing rates, and we kind of it's not it doesn't signal end of cycle hype. Or it doesn't signal an overheated market. What it signals is actually the beginning of something. Um, because interest rates in the UK are still at 4.5%. We're in just as much shit as the US with debt. So there's no reason for interest rates not to go back somewhere near zero, just to roll over the debt from the previous overhang. And obviously, when that happens, all these asset prices will rise optically. So if you just look at it simply, like just first principles thinking, more money in the system means more money to go after these assets. And we know that Bitcoin is the most sensitive to M2 money supply, although recently M2's been it's gone to Valhalla, and it's kind of Bitcoin's kind of broken away from M2 a little bit. People are speculating around it being the government shutdown. I think there's a whole bunch of people getting out of risk assets because they're still playing the 4-year cycle, which I think is a mid curve. But my view is 2026 is going to be very strong. I think it just has to, because we're going to have hopefully better financial conditions.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the 4-year cycle will confirm to be dead. And I think this is the perfect scenario on the perfect setup to really do that, and probably
Yeah,
will cause a lot of FOMO. And I think right now, especially, like, everybody's throwing up the chart. A lot of people are just shit posting and joking, but throwing up the chart where, I don't know if you saw, where it's like this 364 days between each like top, and they took the days between each top before and lined it up, and it literally was on October 6th,
right.
the cycle top, and everybody's pulling up that chart now. But I think the setup, as we do go up into 2026, I think it's going to create a lot of FOMO from people
Yeah,
realizing, oh shit, this isn't the top, which really then I think could, somebody asked about a mania and if it's going to happen again, which really could create that mania that eventually does create more of a bear market top. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think crypto is going to see, do you think the days of having like mania and Bitcoin where it moves up 2x in a couple months are over, and it kind of grinds up over the next 6 months, or do you think we'll still have like a manias and big boom and bust going
yeah.
forward?
Well, I mean, uh, as a product of Bitcoin being bigger, it's going to take more buy pressure for it to increase. So I think it moves slower, which is why a lot of people are kind of moving further down the risk curve into some of the smaller, less liquid ones. I know that you do some meme coin stuff, but the less liquid ones are going to rise by the highest percentage. And I think just ordinarily we will probably see a slowdown in um, I don't know. Will we? If people follow the Michael Saylor playbook of putting just ordinarily putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet as a hedge, um, it might do. I think it's funny because, and I've got to jump off. I've got a call with Zeneca on the hour, but he's one of the best traders in the space, and he said something that really stood out to me, which was, no one knows. And there's a quote from Warren Buffett. He said something like, if he started doing price predictions, he would fill out stadiums, because people want some sort of thing
Yeah.
to hang their hat on. And unfortunately, like, no one could have predicted this liquidation event. Um, I was planning on selling towards the end of last year, somewhere after the election, um, but it was kind of anticipating things to um, increase higher than it did, and I've kept adding to my position. Now, obviously, I'm just not doing anything at the moment.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I was gonna ask, because I know you have to get off soon. What
yeah,
have in crypto? I mean, what have you been doing the last few months or this last year while crypto? Our Bitcoin's been kind of flat. Everything else has been down. And I mean, in crypto in general, the last few years, what have you been more of a buy and hold guy with the majors? Kind of what's been your style?
yeah. So I'm a big fan of the historical NFT projects because I just think over time more money will rotate into them. So I've got a big position in curio cards. I've got a very big position in wrap strikers or crypto strikers. I've got a very big position in VFriends. And then in the coins, Sui is my bet for this cycle because it's been outperforming on price. It's newer. The team are insane. They're the ex team for from Facebook. But then more recently, I've leaned into some of the stuff that TokenWorks is doing. So I've got into Punk Strategy. I don't know if you've seen any of the strategy tokens.
Of course.
Um, and I've leaned into the Punk Strategy one because it looks like a kind of leverage bet on top of the NFTs, but pegged to CryptoPunks, which is the most iconic NFT project. But also because of the punks and the protocol, it kind of protects my downside risk, even though there's these volatile and aggressive drawdowns which make you feel sick in the stomach. But it's just one I'm starting to increasingly believe in. In fact, as the price is going down, which I'm sure you have a similar sort of thing with your meme coins.
No, that's a good sign. If there's like a in that case there's a protocol or like a flywheel behind it. In the meme coins, it's like a movement that's a good sign though. If there's more people believing it and joining in on like the belief in it while price is going down, that's definitely a good sign. So yeah, I agree. The token works. I think Punkster is like a little bit different because it's like a everything's a flywheel into that, so it's like an extra thing. But I agree. I think the token strategy coins are a bet on the NFTs themselves going up. And if and when we do get that mania we were talking about earlier on the top of the show, I would think the token works coins will be an absolute, go absolutely crazy. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Sergito from Meebits wrote something which was really poignant, and he said, "Look, sometimes things don't work out the way you plan in crypto.
yeah.
So you look at all the ways it can go wrong. Um, but when I look at this, I'm like, I don't know how it can. I can't see. And now with all these new strategies feeding the kind of mother token, which is Punk Strategy or PNKSTR, I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, I don't see. Obviously, it's going to be volatile because as soon as the kind of floor price of CryptoPunks goes further away from the relisted tokens in the protocol, people don't want to wait the time for the floor price to go back up, so they sell the Punk Strategy token. And but I don't see. I honestly, and I know this is insane, and you're going to think I need a health check here, but I don't see the risk in it. Is it like I can't see? It's an immutable protocol, no centralized person, um, and it's just perpetually buying these crypto punks and relisting them. Now, the question then becomes: is do you think the crypto punks and the protocol can sell? And it's my bet that CryptoPunks went to 125 Ethereum last cycle. The bulk of the relisted ones are in the early 50s to mid 50s. I think it goes way past that, and I think when it does, the price of this is going to go to fucking Valhalla. But there's a bit of pain at the moment, unfortunately, which people have to suck up.
Yep, 90%. But yeah, I agree. I think it's a bet on crypto punks. It is a leverage bet, but it's directly tied to the NFTs, which I think is amazing. I wish we had more time to talk about the
But
token strategy things in general, like the other ones.
I've
Next
um
time,
I've
next
just
time, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you there. I've just messaged Zeneca just to say I'm going to be slightly late, so we can roll it for a little bit. If you want to go another 10 minutes, we can do that because I know
Amazing.
there's someone's messaged me to say there's 1,000 people listening. Man, that's fucking insane.
Amazing. Let's go. Yeah, no, this has been amazing. We'll definitely get more into depth on some of this other stuff next time. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think punk strategy, bet on the NFTs, and if and when that, let's say, I mean, if crypto punks do go to 1 million, you can imagine where, something like a punk strategy would go to. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, the safety signal for me in all of this, Bren, is the fact that there's some top founders in the space that have adopted it as their native token.
mhm.
Because, and I don't know whether it was intentional, but it just happens to be that it's kind of a really fair launch of launching a token. Like you would know from some of the meme launches, you get a lot of snipers, and a lot of the TGE stuff. People front run the NFT to make the claim, and then they dump the NFT after it's gone to astronomical prices after making the claim, then dump the token, and what it becomes is an extraction event.
Yeah.
Whereas actually the strategy tokens feed back into the NFT
Hmm.
because part of the rake goes towards burning the token, which is another element of this that people miss. So it's it's fucking interesting, mate. you
It
know,
is. It's
trying
incredibly
to
interesting.
trying to explain this to someone. Like I was telling the story the other day. I was in the gym, and I've just started. I've been trying yoga, and
Okay.
my yoga guy, he does uh I think he buys it. He might have Bitcoin on Coinbase or something, and he's really interested in the fact that I'm a writer. And he came over the other day because I had my laptop open in the gym, and he was like, "Oh, what are you writing today then?" And I was like, "Well," and it was a blog on punk strategy. And I'm like, and he's really interested. And I said, "Look, I don't know if I can explain this." And he said, "Well, try me." So obviously, I'm like, um, It's a it's a protocol which is a leverage bet on NFTs, which is a leverage bet on ETH. But what it does is it arbitrages the price appreciation of the NFT, and it's like, and his fucking eyes glazed over. I'm like, I've really got to find a simpler way of explaining it. But I
Yeah,
guess,
NFTs. Good luck explaining NFTs to anybody right now. There's like a huge
yeah,
brand, but then a token attached to it, like there's no shot.
no, no, bro, it's insane. But the beauty of the strategy tokens is one, obviously I've got to make content around it, but also it's got me into NFT projects, and this is the other thing at a low entry because it's an ERC 20. I'm just buying like a bit of vibe strategy, a bit of pain strategy, a bit of chimster, um, and now I'm getting, I guess, some exposure to these communities. Um, Without having to fork out half an Ethereum for an NFT and not actually understanding what the communities are about. I
Yeah,
mean, but I don't know if you've been in that Good Vibes Discord, but it's a different fucking planet in there. Like it's different. It's fucking different. It's like it's not even crypto, bro. It's just different. And every single person in there is like living the fabric of the collection. Um, and you sense that on the timeline. And then I was lucky enough to have a I did an interview with Ty,
hmm
and then you realize, oh, hold on a second, this is the DNA of the founder filtering down into the collection. But I wouldn't have had any of this or known any of this um, had I not had exposure to some of their token. Um, so yeah,
yeah. No, that's amazing. I need to check out. Good Vibes Club in general. I haven't really dove into. I know the V Friends. I got the Mint Mink. They got it for free, and obviously saw how well it performed and have some friends in there. But yeah, that's crazy. What's a floor price on the Good Vibes Club right now?
I want to say point 0.4. It might have dropped.
It's held nicely. It's held pretty
Yeah,
solid.
I mean, but the thing is that, mate, we had that liquidation event, and fucking Vibester was like a hockey stick because what they did, they had like 600 of these NFTs in the protocol, but because they have a baked-in royalty in the NFTs, is they're taking a percentage of the royalty to buy back their native token. So that the team are market buying their own token.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, I do think these NFT tokens in general, whether it's adopting the Token Works one, which I think is pretty cool, or like taking the Pengu route, and you can see why a company would actually do their own token too, because they get to raise money. It's a capital thing. It's a different beast.
Yeah,
But I do think for those to see long term success, it's going to be at least sustainable success where they're not dropping 80% when meme coins drop.
yeah,
Is there needs to be some type of flywheel, whether it be directly to the company's revenue or some type of something to where holders of the coin are benefiting in some way in that way. I don't think decision making is really the right way, like we were talking about, at least in building an IP, like governance. But that coin, I think, has to have some type of flywheel, and I think Pangu will figure it out. V
yeah,
Friends, I know, probably won't do it until there's like a real use case for it. but I could see like the revenue for the physical products, right? Like,
Yeah.
however much of the physical products sell, they take a certain amount of that, buy back the coin, and burn it. So I think that probably needs to be in place. So I think that's good. Good Vibes Club adopting the Token Works one that's already doing a burn or a flywheel is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I know you need to get off in 5 minutes, Jaden.
Sorry, bro.
We need
Yeah.
to do this again here soon. But for somebody on this stream, I know there's a couple people who are asking about the writing stuff, but
Yeah.
just people in crypto and NFTs in general, you're a long term guy in general. I can just from talking to you, you've been in the game for a minute. What are some words of advice in general that you could leave for the people, whether they want to be a writer like you, making great content, or just in the crypto and NFT market in general?
Okay. So the writing, the only thing that's stopping you is fear. So uh, the handbrake that stops people is they don't want to put thoughts on the internet um, because they're scared of what people think. That's the biggest thing. And then what it does is you get into this framework of thinking, shit, I've got to think of something really good to write. Whereas actually, the way to do it is just to write how you think. And then what you end up doing is instead of forcing yourself to create something, is you basically document what you're doing. And usually if you have it hinged around something you enjoy, you attract those people who enjoy the same things. I didn't start this as me wanting to do a big newsletter and I was just sharing things I was interested in. Carmen's put there, did bro say carrotlove.com? I mean his email list. Carmen, it's Carrot Lane. So carrot like carrots, yeah, and then lane.com.
I'm gonna link. I'm
www.carrot.com.
gonna link the Carrot Lane. Obviously, it's in
Thank you.
Jaden's bio, but I'm gonna link it to the bottom of the stream too right now. By the way,
Oh, mate, I love you for that. So that's the first thing around the writing. In fact, any content, just do it. Try and block out the one person who's fucking you up. Like I know Gary says this, so I don't want to parrot what he says. But it is the thing for me that stopped me because I was worried about what people would think. Maybe start with some micro blogging. Substack have a feature where you can microblog. Obviously, you can do it here on X, and then use the micro content that you've done to think of a longer form post, and really take your time with it. Do it on Medium. If it's good, you get paid with it straight away. Obviously, it's competitive on this, so you need to be really good. But then over time, go back and read some of your older stuff. And when you read it, sometimes you'll cringe. And in that process, you'll realize actually, I'm developing and I'm growing. So that's the thing on the writing, but just do it. Don't have these grand expectations. But also, you've got to enjoy writing. Like, I really enjoy writing, I get lost in the process. Um, and the thing with the crypto stuff, and I don't shill any assets or force things on people. But the one thing I would say is just don't borrow conviction. Don't borrow conviction from Bren. Don't borrow conviction from me. Put money into things you understand. And if you don't understand and you're not sure, but you still want some exposure, just stick to those top kind of performing assets, those top six: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Doge, and obviously I'm big on Sui because I think it's really performing on price. Obviously, it bleeds the most in a down cycle, and you just got to stomach that. But have your core positions in those top assets is my view because they've been battle tested.
amazing. And it's like I don't know if you guys noticed like the common theme from these guests that we've had, whether it be Max, who we had on for a long time, who's been trading since the '80s, Basement Ron, my boy Hemdog, Jaden, all these long term people. They all have similar messages of just give yourself time and just think long term. So that's amazing. I loved what you said about borrowed conviction. That's 100% right. You I always encourage like you. I've learned so much from other people, but where you really got to start doing is forming your own thesis first and just using other people to as resources to do it. But you want to form your own way of thinking. Don't borrow conviction. There's nothing worse than like borrowing people's content and borrowing conviction. So I love how you
100.
said that. Jaden, that was so amazing, brother. We need to do it again soon.
Bro,
Definitely check out Carrot Lane. You said what you're going to go on a call with.
I'm just about to jump on a call with Zeneca. If you look at Zeneca, he's just shared my Substack on his thing and the live
It's
stream.
amazing.
I will share the live stream on my page as well. It's going to
Yeah,
be
if
a
you
good
guys want to check out Zeneca and Jaden, I'm sure that's going to be a crazy conversation. Definitely go check that out. And Jaden, let's do it again soon, brother.
mate. I've got you on Monday, bro, and I'm not letting you off the hook. It's going to be a fucking good one, and
Of
you're on
course
my
not.
sub. And
I'll be
then
there.
it's going to be big, bro, because we're going to do it on X, and we're going to roll it back.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely. Jaden and I are going to be on live from his Substack and X Monday at what do we say again? Sorry, I have it written down.
Monday. I know you do Pacific Standard Time, which Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m., which is 10 p.m.
Yeah,
my time.
EST is 3 hours ahead of me. So yeah,
Right. Okay. I fuck it, mate.
it's all good. I'll go
We'll
look
work
at
it
it.
out,
I'll go ahead and announce it leading up this weekend. Either
yeah,
way, Jaden, it's been great, and I really appreciate you for being on, bro.
bro. Fucking hero. Love you, bro.
All right, love
Take
you,
it
bro.
easy.
Talk to you
All
soon.
right, mate. Take it easy.
All right, I'm gonna be on, guys. So not hogging off. Hem dog, what's up, brother? What are you doing, Hem? You want to hop on, hang out for a bit? Let me know if you want to pull up. Later, Jaden. All right. Sorry, guys. I know a lot of you are asking questions about Bitcoin and stuff. We'll go over it right now, but that was a great stream. We're able to get insight into. I know a lot of people, and I think a lot of what he was talking about and writing is not just Substack or Medium, but like just on Twitter. I think you know I've started doing the streams and voice stuff just the last 6 months, but I was able to build. You're able to build some pretty big following and just by writing, and it just be simple stuff. It's not whatever. So we got some good nuggets from there. Let me know if you guys liked that. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want me to look at, though, Bitcoin, again, fat red candles right now. But when you take everything into account, I still think there's way more likely we're going to end up looking like this and this, like April and 2024. Again, what I'd be looking for chart wise to really confirm a shift of momentum is something like this. I was talking about consolidation last stream. Obviously, we broke through that low there. So same kind of thing. What we always see to end these consolidate or these corrections is very rarely is it just going to like go up from nothing. Like one day it just turns around and does a V-shaped recovery. As you can notice on these other corrections, usually there's some type of consolidation and chop sideways. This time in April, obviously just went up, broke that low, and then just quickly went up. That's something I'd be kind of looking for on the higher time frames, like on the daily and weekly, is some kind of green candles, possibly like a retest of that low and then up. So that's kind of what we're looking for is just a slowdown. I think it's very likely coming. Like I showed that tweet here that I put out on October. What is this? October 17th. I think the writing was on the wall that we were going to get another move down. It's taken a little bit of a while to play out, but I still think there's a really good chance that either in the mid or low 90s that that we bottom out and look more like these April corrections and the correction we saw in 2024, and that's because you just take everything else into account with the macro situation, how all these bullish the macro situation is becoming more bullish, regulatory system situations coming more bullish, institutions are only entering crypto and more. You think like these investor types, these people who are long-term investors and who are really thinking, trying to value crypto for 5-10 years in the future, you think those people aren't buying this 20-30% dip on Bitcoin. um, I think again, you take everything else into account, probabilities wise. I still think we get a bottom here by probably November but a move higher into end of year. I still think is likely. So chart wise, that's what I'd like to see: some type of slowdown and some type of consolidation, but just gotta let it play out. No reason to panic at this point, really, right? But ETH is actually holding more stronger. As you guys can see here, it's still holding in that consolidation. Does it break lower? I don't know, but it's interesting to see Bitcoin dominance is it down? Yeah, Bitcoin dominance is down during this correction, which is showing that ETH and Sol buy pressure, or at least flows, seem to be stronger. I don't know if you guys remember Bitcoin dominance. I've been talking a lot about it in this stream here. Bitcoin dominance on this next leg, I think, is going to break down. And what most people don't realize that Bitcoin is in a quote unquote downtrend. Bitcoin dominance is in a quote unquote downtrend now. It switched trends, or it kind of flipped after it moved down from 65 to 57, chopped up in this corrective channel to the upside. And I believe in 2026, we're about to get another leg lower on Bitcoin dominance. And why is this significant? Why does this matter? Just look at what's happened historically when Bitcoin dominance is trending to the downside. Let's go back. The last time Bitcoin dominance was trending to the downside was in 2021, when kind of the end of that bull run, end of that crypto bull run, where NFTs, meme coins, crypto or altcoins went absolutely nuts. That's what happens historically when Bitcoin dominance is moving down, is the alts, memes. Usually we get a mania, everything's really strong. And I think that's what this is pointing to on this next leg, is that Bitcoin will probably go up pretty strong. But I think ETH, Sol, memes, and alts are probably going to dominate, probably harder than we've seen during this bull run so far. Because if you guys see, the bull run started in 2022, but Bitcoin dominance has been going up that entire time. And that explains, or that goes along with meme coins. And it was really only meme coins, Sol, and Bitcoin that went up. I think what's going to happen on this next leg, because Bitcoin dominance going down, we're going to see a more wider, I don't want to say alt season, because I don't think it's going to be like where everything runs, but we're going to see a wider run of more than just meme coins and more than just, a few coins. So it's kind of what we're waiting to play out. I think it's interesting to see Bitcoin dominance already moving down before this correction is over. And I think what's going to happen when this Bitcoin and ETH corrections are over, we're going to see Bitcoin dominance very likely move down very hard. So Sol moving down, not as hard as Bitcoin, but still moving down. Again, now what we're seeing on ETH that we've broken down here, I'd like to see a little bit of slowdown. But again, you look at the higher time frames, I think it's telling us just another coil up, like here, here, and here. And I'm bullish on 2026. So that's that. There's not much we can really do here. Where I would, again, really like to see a big confirmation that, okay, we're very likely getting a shift of momentum, is we reclaim again above 3,600, breaking above that consolidation high. At that point, if you were to take a long position, that's where I'd be longing, as a reclaim of this 3,500. I had a long position open on here on $2,500 on ETH that I took profits on the way up on this leg up here in the summer, about 50-60%. But as I saw this leg start to break down here in late last month, I took the rest of my long position off. And now I'm just waiting a bit to confirm, that this consolidation is over. And then I plan on positioning for a bigger swing trade back into ETH as far as a long position. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the chat. Hang in there. I know this is fucking rough. I know I always say that, but it's really, at this point, there's really no point to. If anything you can learn from this is you got to be proactive and take profits on the way up. That's even how much profits I took this year. I try to remind myself even more. Borrowed conviction. Yeah. Do you think Bitcoin dominance is nearing? I hope that answered your question. TA on Sol. Yeah, well, I just did it. Yeah, I think Sol is nearing its bottom too. Do you believe in the 4-year cycle? I think, like Jaden said, very likely that the 4-year cycle happened to line up. I don't think it has so much to do with the having, is so much that it lined up with the business cycles and a bunch of other stuff in the macro world. And then this time, I think those things, the business cycle, are pointing to a higher in 26. So yeah, I think the 4-year cycle is very likely dead. And I know that's crazy right now because we're going down, but I think looking back, we're going to see that moving into 2026 is going to confirm. Moving up into 2026 is going to confirm that it's over. That the 4-year cycles, the model is broken. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that stream with Jaden. I want to continue to have guests on, my friends on from all different walks of crypto, content creation, so we can just continue to learn not only about the markets, but just all these other different areas. Hope everyone's getting smarter by being on here. So I always love talking about that. Definitely check out Jaden's newsletter. He's a great writer. I've learned a lot from being in there as well. And if you're trying to be a better writer like myself, like I've been trying to learn as well, definitely check it out. Check out what he's doing in there, and definitely, like you said, you got to model yourself. Whatever you're trying to become, you want to learn from other good people at it. But anything else going on in the timeline? Any drama? Shout out to Hemdog. That's crazy because I'm like pretty far back from my mic. That's whack. I'm just talking to my producer. You guys are fucked.
For the comment. Thank you so much, team.
Printing plate.
Nice. Is this the original?
Everybody go wish Gary Vee happy birthday. It was his birthday today.
For the comment. Thank you so much, team. That's nice.
That's nice. NFTs down today. Damn, Moonbirds are at 0.67. Am I seeing that correctly? What the fuck? Did they announce the coin's not coming or something? What the fuck happened? Oh, no, I'm tripping. That was like from before. How'd that guy... Oh, he fucking baited me. Damn, that's crazy. I just got baited live. Fucking baited me, bro. Someone clip that. Damn, this guy bought back his gift code. That's lit. So what are you guys' thoughts on these the Fwog drop just in general, even if you're not a fan of the Fwogs or it doesn't interest you, like just this model where you can go in and buy products that you normally would buy that comes with the digital collectible. Does this make sense to you? You think you could see somebody doing this? Like, let's say the Labubus you bought digitally, they ship to your door, or you could just, if you got a rare one or whatever, you could just resell it. I think this is a really interesting model. Timeline. Oh, damn, he got it for 2.7. Timeline's quiet as shit, though. Somebody give me something to review or some shit before we get off. I'll hang up for another 15 minutes. Definitely got a whole lot smarter. Appreciate you for being here, Zilla. All I see is Beastland. Yeah, is anybody... I haven't seen anything from inside of there. Okay. Pretty cool, I guess.
Thank you all for coming out.
I always like how they have like the littlest security guy. I'm sure the bigger guys are next to him too, but like, what's this guy gonna do? What? Yeah, I guess. My producer said it's the small ones you got to worry about, but like, is this guy? Maybe he's probably not security, but why they have him walking right next to him then? Even these security guards, like, look at that guy. I feel like somebody could. You see that a lot of times. The security guards aren't like the guys that necessarily are like the biggest, tallest. I feel like they're like the smartest that know how to like defend with, guns and all that. There's something, but when are we going to have Jaden on stream again? Damn, Carmen likes Jaden, man. No, he'll be on again soon. I'm going to be on his show on Monday if you want to check that out. You guys thought that was funny? I'm glad. Fucking baited me. Damn, timeline is quiet. Solana has dropped 20. Gary's off that stream now, yeah? Can't tell me now? Damn, he was on that long. That's crazy. Let's see. Review Soul. Yeah, I'll look Soul real quick for you. We looked at it a second ago, but it's lagging. So overall price action, if again I go over this again, but just like the core principle of the way I view these corrections is you just look at the price action that we saw in this correction in December in 2024. Or I'm sorry, this was April of this year. You saw the correction that we saw in May of this year. The price action there's moves down, but it's more choppy in nature versus Solana back in 2021. When it peaked, it went from 250 down to 79 in a matter of 2 months. This price action that we've seen here since September, yes, it's come down, but you notice these multiple bounces in between. You notice a clear, distinct, more coiled up or choppy corrective nature that we see in this correction versus the straight down impulsive behavior that we saw in 2021. And that's what I go off of a lot is when I see something like Solana where, yes, it came down off of this initial correction in September from 248 to 190, 25% correction. But instead of like we saw in 2021, it continuing down another 50% in a couple weeks, it bounces. Then it comes down another 15%, and then it chops sideways for a little bit. Then it comes down. Like, I hope you guys are seeing this clear, distinct difference in the price action. And to me, I like to call this, again, corrective in nature. Corrections point to continuation, whereas impulsivity is a actual move where you don't want to be caught in. That's where the big reversal, big bull markets, big bear markets, and again, those are confirmed by big impulsive moves, which are big moves down for a long period of time, very fast moves, versus the corrections we've seen now, the correction we saw in 2024. All these are different, more choppy coil ups, I like to call them. And then you add in everything else into the fold, the important things like the macro situation, liquidity, which drives everything. Those things are, I think, objectively bullish, at least as of right now. So, yeah, I think Bitcoin or crypto very likely, Bitcoin's going to be, drive everything. But I think what's likely to happen is just like we saw, I put UR here. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but I think very likely we are, on this kind of big like push down like we saw in April, where eventually Bitcoin's going to bounce, confirm a slowdown, probably retest that low and then move higher. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for on Bitcoin is, again, just some type of bounce to confirm that the slowdown or the bottom is being formed. But generally taking everything into an account. And again, just like we saw that guy's tweet right there, Burge was saying like, nobody knows 100% what's going to happen out here. I think I've been doing this for 10 years. I feel like there's a lot of pattern recognition that I've been able to build viewing these charts. Like I just showed you right there. I don't think most people look at that at all and compare the price action that we saw in 2021 versus now. And I have a lot of lived through these different situations, like intuition and gut and all that stuff through these different cycles. But even me, I have no fucking I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know 100% what's going to happen. I think I have an edge in a lot of things and have a very high probability that this data that we have is pointing to a correction. But at the end of the day, no one knows what's going to happen 100%. We can only go based off of the pattern recognition we have through our experience and the data. And I think in these streams together, we've had a pretty objective view on not just the price action, but I've made a really good point to look at the important stuff, the macro stuff, the regulatory stuff, where the CFTC, the SEC is creating laws so crypto can thrive. The institutional side, how there's just more and more institutional products popping up all the time. I think all of that stuff, all of the data, taking it together, I think most people don't look at that stuff at all and only focus on recent price action. But when you take those other things into account, you paint like a bigger picture to where I think it's just way higher probability that 2026 is going to be a strong year versus us going down into 26, 27, bottoming out in 28, like a lot of people are thinking. Also, another big thing to note is the biggest difference that marks all of these tops as well is, or at least the one in 2021, is it essentially consolidated or held this high at 67K for 7 months. You see, guys, it came down from 69K down to 31K, retested that 67K high, failed to break. Once it failed to break there, that was the big confirmation. And we'll go over more in a different show, but the biggest sign of a peak or a big top is some type of consolidation for multiple months. This one was 6 months of consolidation, was really the biggest giveaway. We saw it again in 2021 as well, whereas Bitcoin consolidated, held the high at 18K or 20K for about, this one was actually 2 or 3 months only. But yeah, usually it holds the high for 3 to 6 months before dropping down. And yes, these corrections, Bitcoin has consolidated a bit, 2 or 3 months, and then came down. But yeah, the clear distinction is what price action has done out of these consolidations. This so far in this bull market, it's been very choppy every time it's come out. Very choppy. As you can see here, it's moving down pretty hard, but we've seen bounces in between. I think the last confirmation for Bitcoin we're kind of waiting for is just some type of bounce and consolidation to kind of confirm that the bottom is in. But traditionally, that's how I see it. Really, what would invalidate this whole thing, really chart wise, is again, if Bitcoin were to confirm impulsive behavior where it didn't bounce between here and low 90s like I'm thinking, and instead it just goes straight down to 80K in one weekly candle. Again, that would confirm impulsive behavior like we saw in 2021 versus the corrective behavior we've seen in these other corrections. But again, I think so far this correction is pointing to all that, to what we've seen in corrective behavior in the past. We're just kind of waiting for that bounce. And I think that's likely what's going to happen here between, here in the low 90s. But who knows? We're coming up on 94K here, 95K. And we're coming up on those low 90s here. So we'll know in the next couple of weeks. Nice to be able to yes, I agree. It's really been nice to be able to DCA some of these coins. Will the ALX 2049 token pre-sale start soon? I have no idea what that is. The bull run is fun, but the bear has also been opportunities. Don't forget. That's very true, Lucky. Sleep Arc. I don't know, man. Bro says, when do you see? By the way, Carl, I know you asked a question earlier. I think I wasn't able to get to it to ask Jaden. Um, or maybe it was for me. I don't know. When do you see World War III happening? I have no clue, bro. I remember I was talking to somebody about this. Like, I was talking to Grok actually too about it like a month ago about like the different casualties in the Iraq. Like, I don't know. I would have assumed like the Iraq War, for example. There's like a few thousand, only 4,000 casualties. Obviously, terrible that anybody died in any war, but 4,000 casualties versus World War II. There was like millions on each side, and they were talking about. I was talking about like they were talking about if there was a World War III. Grok was saying that the casualties would be a lot less because the armies are a lot smaller. And I think it's interesting. I think a lot of people theorize that if there was a World War III, it'd be likely more of a drone thing and be less on the ground. But I don't know. Maybe now they have humanoid robots fight. I have no fucking clue. When do I see World War III happening? I don't know, man. I have no clue. Hopefully, never. You know, you obviously see tensions and all these different, China, Taiwan, and obviously in the Middle East and all that. But I don't know. Hopefully, never. What about Sui and Ton? I think they both bounce back, bro. If and when Bitcoin bounces back. Can I multitask crypto and writing, or is there a way to blend them? There's definitely a way to blend them, right? I'm sure you know that. World War III is happening. Who's this man? Are you saying World War III is happening right now, Quirky? Or are you saying thanks for being here, Mark? We're gonna close it off here in a few minutes. Again, guys, we do these streams. If you want to go ahead and share, comment, retweet, like, turn on post notifications. Make sure to shoot myself, obviously, if you shoot me a follow as well as Jaden, if you haven't already. Right now we're doing these streams twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. Obviously, always talking about what I'm doing in crypto, talking about the market, NFTs, doing chart analysis. We didn't look at a lot of charts today because everything's kind of doing the same thing. But we're always happy to, answer questions and look at chart requests. Think of this as a place to, not only for me to give my analysis, but, to be a place to hang out and for me to review things and for you guys to hopefully learn things as well from the different people I'm bringing on. And yeah, we're also having a Twitter space every Thursday too with my buddy Hemdog, a couple other my friends. Look for that on X. Usually we're doing that, I think, Thursdays at 2 p.m. PST. So it'll be a couple hours after this. It'd be about right now in about 20 minutes. If it were Thursday. So yeah, Thursday Twitter space streams for now. Tuesdays and Fridays, 11 a.m. PST. Started a little bit later today. I had some technical difficulties, but yeah, guys, I know it's tough. There's not much going on. There's nothing worse in these times where prices are going down, but then also the meme coin trenches, everything's just completely dry. So you're literally just forced to either do nothing or just watch the Bitcoin chart. But do everything you can, even if I know a lot of people are in winter now in the US, right? I'm lucky to live in SoCal, so it's raining today, but it's still like 65 degrees outside. Even if you're inside, not much to do. You don't have much to do anyway in general. Just do everything you can to not watch the Bitcoin chart every 5 seconds. It's only going to drive you crazy. It's not going to make Bitcoin bottom out. Instead, if you're going to continue to stay involved in crypto, which you should, start watching interviews, man, like podcasts, um, podcasts with different experts in these different spaces. Thread Guy has a really great because I think he has these guys on, but he makes it kind of entertaining, right? Maybe for if you're a younger crowd, like that might be easier to digest for you. It's easy to digest for anybody, but like Bankless, for example, that's where I learned so much and was able to learn so much in a few years is by watching these different interviews, long form content that most people aren't willing to watch. Do that. Be in spaces, network. Don't obsess over the charts. Whether worst case scenario, I'm completely fucking wrong and Bitcoin slices through 80K. next week, what would that really mean in hindsight? We probably go down for another 9 months for a year. But crypto's obviously, with the macro situation, not even bad. Even if it were, obviously crypto's already made it. Like, it's already in the sweet spot where all the the big financial institutions are entering. Regulatory clarity's here. Um, it's just a matter of time to where even if we were to break through to 80K, 70K, it just means that we wait a little bit longer, right? Obviously, you want to be in the great assets so you don't get completely washed. But my point here is, don't fucking stress so much, and so much is hinging if we hold 90K. Yes, again, it would be great because it probably means we're waiting a little bit longer, but none of this shit's the end of the fucking world. If your bag held a bunch of assets that are down at shit now, all you can do is learn. And yeah, I'm gonna stop ranting. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thread guy on X, yeah, he streams he's probably streaming right now. I don't know if he does Thursday, Fridays. No, he's not on right now. Maybe he took the day off. Like, maybe he's doing something today. Usually, yeah. But anyways, yeah, he streams at least Monday through Thursday. He has oops, I'm not sharing the screen. He had Arthur Hayes on yesterday. He has a lot of great people, so definitely check that out. I'm going to continue to have a lot of great people on as well. So definitely tune in. We'll be back on Tuesday. Make sure Thursday as well for the Twitter space. If you ever wanted to, I love Twitter streams and hanging out with the chat, but Twitter spaces are like a more open dialogue as well. So if you ever want to come and say what's up, hang out, have a question, make sure to pull up on Thursday. Shout out to Sam, Brodus, Base Newell, Carl, of course, Carmen, Base, Newell, Ankh, Sam, Zilla, of course, Space Faceless. Zcash is moving again. Quirky Charms. Oh, he's saying, nah, I'm saying Mark is enough to stress me enough. Who's saying, oh, yeah, I know, Quirky. That's the last thing we need right now. And, oh, my bad, Carl. He said, any advice for a noob like myself? What do you look out for? Let me get a sip of water real quick. Hold on. Just to close it out, to answer your question, Carl, really NFTs, you want to think of them as really it's a game of collecting. It's a collectibles. They're digital collectibles. That's how the world's going to know these things. That's how the world's going to be introduced to NFTs for the most part, is through collectibles. Like we're saying, I think every product will probably have in e-commerce will eventually come with digital collectibles. It'll be tickets. It'll be very commonplace for people to have digital collectibles and own things digitally. So I think they're collectibles first. And that's why I'm so bullish on VFriends and the other ones that I have, is because I think they have the best shot at becoming the most collectible brands because of the different stuff they're doing and with cards and all these different things. So I would think of NFTs first and foremost, without even going too much into the projects, is you want to think of these things as something you would collect, like a Pokemon card back in the day, because you love it first and foremost. You really believe in everything going on. But then two, if it is a financial side of things, you want to invest in things you think is going to become the next Pokemon, Marvel, and of course that's crazy, but stuff that people are going to fall in love with other than just the Web3 stuff. The only way these things become successful is if the masses outside of Web3, while Web3 is still small, eventually Web3 is just going to swallow a lot of things. But while it's still small, the companies that meet people where they are with the physical stuff are going to be the most successful. So that's why I love VFriends. That's why Pudgies are, done great stuff in that realm. I'm sure Bored Apes will do it. A few will do it really well. But yeah, with that, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you on Tuesday. And be safe. Have a good one.